Today is Saturday, February 24th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report. Today is Saturday, February 24th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report. The latest figures from the National Police show that more than 30,000 people have been reported missing in Ukraine during 2 years of war. Israel seeks open-ended control over security and civilian affairs in the Gaza Strip, according to a long-awaited post-war plan by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. His ideas were swiftly rejected Friday by Palestinian leaders and run counter to Washington's vision for the war-ravaged enclave. Netanyahu presented the 2-page document to his security cabinet late Thursday for approval. Separately, ceasefire efforts appeared to gain traction, with mediators to present a new proposal at an expected high-level meeting this weekend in Paris. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes in the center and south of the territory killed at least 68 Palestinians, including children and women. The overall Palestinian death toll surpassed 29,500. Relatives of hostages still being held by Hamas and other militant groups have endured a nightmare. Nearly 5 months into the war that began with Hamas' deadly October 7th attack on Israel, the hostages' relatives hold on to hope that they will be freed. But they're growing increasingly desperate for a resolution. After multiple failed rounds of negotiations, the hostages' relatives fret that both Israelis and the world are losing interest in their struggle. Roughly 250 people, including women, children, and older adults, were taken as hostages on October 7th, and more than 100 have been freed so far. Of the 134 remaining hostages, Israel believes 100 or so are still alive. The head of the European Union's powerful commission says decisions will be taken soon to release billions of euros to Poland, funds frozen by the bloc over the previous Polish government's anti-EU policies. Ursula von der Leyen said on Friday the decision to release 137 billion euros, or about $148 billion, will be made next week in Brussels. She spoke following talks with Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who welcomed the announcement and said the money will be spent well. Tusk had hinted earlier this week that steps his government was taking to reverse the questionable policies of its right-wing predecessors would soon allow for the bloc to release billions of euros of funds for Poland. An unexploded World War II bomb has been safely transported through the eerily empty streets of the southwestern English port city of Plymouth. It was placed on a boat Friday for its final journey to the sea, where it is to be blown up by naval divers. The bomb prompted one of the largest evacuations in the United Kingdom since the war. A military convoy carried the Nazi-era explosive from a residential backyard in the city to the sea. Around 10,000 people were told they could now return home. The bomb is believed to weigh around 500 kilograms or 1,100 pounds. It will no doubt make a mighty splash once it is detonated. The death toll in a fire that engulfed an apartment block in the Spanish city of Valencia has risen to 9 as questions were raised about whether construction materials caused the fire to spread so rapidly. one person remained missing, according to forensic police, who, after identification procedures, downgraded the death toll from an official's account of 10 provided earlier following a visual count of remains. The fire started Thursday evening and quickly engulfed the two residential buildings. Neighbors described seeing the rapid spread of the blaze, residents stuck on balconies, and hearing children screaming. Police found 9 bodies in the gutted residential buildings. French actor Judith Godrèche has called on France's film industry to face the truth on sexual violence and physical abuse during a live broadcast Friday of the Cesar Awards ceremony, France's version of the Oscars. Godrèche was invited to speak on sexual violence at the ceremony after actors alleged they were teenage victims of sexual abuse by directors decades older than themselves, shining a light on the repulsive underside of the country's industry. Godrèche asked the audience was ready to face the truth, and then urged people to say out loud what everyone is thinking. She received a standing ovation for her address. London police have confirmed that a body pulled from the River Thames earlier this week is that of Abdul Ezedi, a man wanted over a chemical attack that injured his former partner and her 2 young daughters. The Metropolitan Police said Friday that a post-mortem has confirmed his cause of death as drowning. Police launched a nationwide manhunt for Ezedi after the attack in the Clapham area of South London on Jane 31 that saw the mother of 2 doused with a corrosive alkali. Some of the chemical injured her 8-year-old daughter, while the 3-year-old had her head slammed into the ground. The collapse of the open-pit gold mine that killed at least 16 people has underscored the dangers of working in a poorly regulated industry. It has also shown the crucial role that mining plays in the survival of thousands of people who take a gamble and create quasi-cities, complete with bingo and raffles, around mines in hopes of earning what other parts of the troubled country cannot give them. Venezuela's government does not have an accurate count of people who were living at the site of the mine, but several miners who have worked at the mine estimate that at least 3,000 people were in Bula Loca at any given time since December. A U.S. company says its moon lander is on its side near the lunar South Pole. Intuitive Machines initially believed its spacecraft was upright when it landed Thursday, but officials said Friday it almost certainly tipped over on its side, covering up some antennas and hampering communications. Intuitive Machines is the first private business to pull off a moon landing, a feat previously achieved by only 5 countries. And it's the first U.S. moon landing in more than 50 years. Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the World News for Saturday, February 24th, 2024. Thanks again for joining us at the Dunkley Report.